Yes, sir.
Sorry for the delay, guys.
Sir, is the PPT visible?
Yes, Avinash, it is.
So I'll start. So our topic of
Yes, sure.
research was critical analysis of the framework in relation to the rights of disabled people. So basically, in this PPT, we have covered introduction to the topic. What were the main issues? What are the current laws that we have in India? And then we have analysis with US and UK, and then we have also added some of the landmark and then we have our individual feedbacks on the topic. So, moving on with the introduction. So, basically, throughout the history, society have made very significant strides, I would like advocating when it comes to individuals with disabilities and their rights. There are several laws and policies, both under Indian laws and agreements, which were established basically to provide a solid foundation so that people are similar to the other individuals as well. Effectiveness and adequacy of these frameworks and their property is still not uh, is not as good as a person would want. So now with the issues, Ananya will continue.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you, Avinash. So, with the issues, the rights of disabled children, they remain a pressing concern. Their access to education, healthcare, and social participation often faces barriers. Inadequate accommodations, discrimination, and limited support can hinder their holistic development, often ensuring equal opportunities and inclusive education is our not only in India but worldwide. Legislation and policies they have to be enforced to safeguard their rights, empowering the disabled children to lead fulfilling lives and contribute to the society. Collaboration between governments, communities, and organizations is imperative to dismantle barriers and foster an inclusive environment so the rights of disabled children can be protected. So I would like to hand over to Avinash for the current laws part of the PPT.
Yeah. So, sir, now I'll talk about the current legislations that we have in India. So, the first is the Right of Person with Disabilities Act. So, basically, this legislation had replaced a previous legislation which went by the name of Person with Disabilities for Equal Opportunity and Protection, was enacted in 1995. So, the main perspective of broaden the definition of disabilities and enhance the reservation for a person with disabilities when it comes to education institutes or employment places, and to basically introduce measures that would improve the accessibility of such facilities for the disabled people and the discriminatory aspect in such aspects. The second legislation was the National Policy for Person with Disabilities. Now, this was in 2016, and the main purpose of this policy was to outline the vision for empowering person with disabilities by the government in various aspects of life. So, while not a legally binding framework yet, it was said to give direction for disability related initiatives in our country. And the third legislation that we have added is the Right to Education Act. So this is not exclusively focused on disabled children, but this act basically guarantees the right to education for all children, which would include children with disabilities. It would basically emphasize the need for having inclusive education and reasonable uh, accommodation, I would say, to make sure that the access to education is available to all. Now, Ananya will continue with the comparison.
Thank you, Avinash. So, in this part of the presentation, we took the liberty of comparing USA, UK, and India. So, in comparing the rights of disabled children, all three countries exhibit distinct approaches. The USA and UK, they have well-established legal frameworks and comprehensive support systems that prioritize inclusive education and social inclusion, while in contrast, India still faces the challenges of inadequate infrastructure and societal stigma in some parts. While all the three countries aim for equality, the countries like US and UK, they generally offer more robust provisions and resources, and India is still addressing the issues to improving policy execution and fostering awareness to ensure disabled children's rights are fully realized. So, moving on to the next part, which mentions some landmark Indian judgments. The first one is Sampurna Behrua versus Union of India. This recent case law from 2015. In this, the Supreme Court directed the government to provide free education and facilities to disabled children under the Right to Education Act, ensuring their inclusive education. The second case of Javed Abidi versus Union of India from 2002. This case led to formulation of the Persons with Disabilities, Equal Opportunities, Protection of Rights and Full Participation Act of 1995, which Avinash also mentioned earlier, the 2016 one. So, in this, the Act helped in strengthening legal provisions for rights of disabled individuals. The third case of Pranab versus the state of Madhya Pradesh from 2019. In this, the Madhya Pradesh High Court emphasized the importance of providing reasonable accommodation and facilities for disabled students during examination, affirming their right to equal opportunities in education. The last case law of Rajiv Rature versus Union of India from 2018. In this, the Delhi High Court directed the Delhi government to ensure that private schools provide necessary facilities and support for disabled students as mandated by Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act. The next we have the feedback. So I would like to go first, followed by Avinash. So the state of rights for disabled children in India, it reflects a mixed scenario. So the rights of disabled children, they have seen a lot of progress, but still challenges persist in achieving all the goals. While legal frameworks like the Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act provide a foundation, implementation often gaps and societal attitudes hinder its full inclusion. Access to quality education, healthcare, and equal opportunities remains uneven. But India is like on the way. It has achieved a lot and has paved the way to achieve more. And with policy enforcement and through awareness campaigns, will achieve more and are on the way. Thank you. Avinash, I'd like to hand it over to you.
Yeah, so like Ananya talked about inclusive education. So I would like to talk more on the same topic. So basically, we saw that there were legislations that were made to enhance the education services provided to the disabled children. But ensuring that disabled children have equal access to quality education is still something that the mainstream schools lack, and it is a very crucial thing that should be taken care of. So this involves training teachers in inclusive teaching methods, adapting a basic curriculum material that would provide assistive devices, or that will basically create a barrier-free physical environment in schools, so that these children feel accepted. Say they don't feel discriminated in such schools. So the first point that I wanted to make was for inclusive education. The second point I would like to make would be for healthcare and rehabilitation. So, having access to quality healthcare or early intervention or rehabilitation services is essential for any disabled person, whether it be a child or an adult. So, healthcare facilities to ensure the availability of specialized services, and to provide support for families to navigate the healthcare system is one of the vital things that India lacks. Even though there are legislations, they are not enacted properly yet. So these were 2 points that I wanted to raise some light on, basically. So, to conclude our presentation, I would like to say that in a country like India that has a pride on its diversity and proclaims its inclusivity, the basic journey for, I would say, disabled children is far from over. As we had reflected in the legal frameworks part as well, that they lay the foundation, but still they lack effectiveness and implementation, as well as awareness. People are not aware about these legislations. People don't know about their rights and laws. So basically, the main focus right now should be to make people aware, firstly, of such laws, to properly implement such laws, and to have an effective system working behind it, so that these laws can cope up to the challenges that they are being made for. So that's it. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Avinash and Ananya. That was really nice presentation. You guys explained and elaborated the concept in really less time. Uh, are you guys open to questions, the general discussion?
Yeah, sir, no problem. If there are any
Uh,
questions, we would love to answer.
Yes,
all
sir.
right. So, what do you basically mean by disability? Like, who is a disabled? Usually, when we hear the term, we think of physical disabilities, right? Like bodily thing. We do not include mental thing. But as far as I know, since I'm not very much into this topic, but as far as I know, there are also mental disabilities. So, could you elaborate on that?
So basically, if we go by the literal definition of disability, it basically means, like you said, it could be a bodily condition or a mental condition that would like deter a person from uh, acting in a situation that a normal rational person would act. So basically, to identify the difference, it would be that a disabled person will face more difficulty in doing a normal task as compared to a rational person.
All right. Uh, Also, as you guys were talking about the implementation part, we all know that having a law is one thing and having it implemented effectively is another thing. And if any law is not being implemented effectively, it is as bad as having no law, right? So,
Yes,
like,
sir.
what are the steps
Yes, sir.
that we can take or the government should take, to have it effectively implemented in the state?
So, see, like we saw in the case laws that Ananya had presented, the Supreme Court or the state high courts, they are aware of such acts. They know that the legislation exists, and hence why they had used it to pass their judgments. So in my perspective, I would say that if the legal justice system is aware of such acts, then the first step that they should do is to create awareness of such acts. We have seen in the past, majority of people, if we keep aside the topic of disability, if we take up any topic basically for which laws are made but people are not aware of it, there tends to be situations where people are basically used. So the first step I would say is that the judiciary itself, when they know, they acknowledge the law, they should create awareness. The government could clearly create awareness. It is not that big of a deal, in my opinion. They could easily have campaigns set up, they could have NGOs doing this work, they could ask or partner up with NGOs that work for the welfare of disabled children, to let them know about their rights.
Or um, okay. Let's here. That was really nice presentation, guys. Congratulations to both of you. You are done with your task 4. After this, you will be getting your final task, that is task 5. And once you complete your task 5, I will provide you a form which you are required to fill, and then we will issue your internship certificate.
Sure, sir. Thank you.
Sure, sir.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Avinash, Ananya, and everyone who joined. Have a good time, guys.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.